Sentiment could actually be a very good thing. I've always wanted to share this. Something I read, I think that was 215 or was it 216 somewhere, because I was in school then. And I would always read motivational blogs because I was still, I think that was what was giving me motivation. So each time I'm weak and it feels like I'm giving up, there are lots of motivational blogs and I would go read. And I'll read stories that would rekindle me. There is this story that I would want to share with you. It was about a man that it took him 11 years to build a house here in Nigeria. He bought a plot of land, not really a plot of land anyway, but he bought plot of land or land. He just bought the land, that's what I know. And it took him 11 years because he was a civil servant. Money wasn't coming in consistently. He would, keep doing everything he can to build. 11 years. Sometimes he will buy 2 bags of cement, 3 bags of cement. Whenever he has little money, he will be buying bag of cement. Where he bought the land, other people were building. Some people even built their house in less than a year, in less than 6 months. But this guy will come in with his, brother-in-laws and a couple of people he could, employ, and he was building small. After 11 years, he finished building the house, but he built it by burning himself. Burning himself means he basically didn't have any money. So while he was done with the house, he was still eating from hand to mouth. And then one day he just decided to sell the house. The land is already worth millions, like compared to what he bought it. And he put the land for sale. When he put the land for sale, he got a buyer. So the buyer came in, saw the property, and the buyer bought the house. But before the buyer bought the house, he asked the person, this house took me 11 years to build. And basically, I'm a low income earner. So what would you want to do with this house now you've bought it? Is this something you're going to stay? Because the man who bought it is a big man. He said, nah. He buys properties and he rents it out. So now he has bought the property from the man, which is the house. He's going to rent it to someone else. And the man said, okay. So the man who built the house, which is the man who built the house in 11 years, felt, you know what, he should rent the house. Maybe since he's already been building it for a very long time, this may be the first person to launch the house after he has built it. So he went through the man's lawyer. He got the house for a 1 year rent, and he stayed there for about 3 years plus, almost 4 years. Within these 4 years, he was renting this house. Remember, it's the same house he built for 11 years. So he was staying there for more than 3 years plus. He used the money he used in selling the house to go into business. So he resigned from work, put into business, and according to him and his lovely wife, they started up the business and they kept on working hard as much as they could. After 3 years plus, he had approached the man because, like they said, the man buys lands, rents the man buys houses, rents them out, and he's still open to sell. And then he went through someone. He didn't even approach the man directly. He went through someone and said he wants to buy this house. The man said the house wasn't up for sale, so they kept on pushing, giving the man offers that the man could reconsider. And finally, the man bought the house. The man even called him and said, I'm sorry, I would want to sell. I would want to buy. Sorry, I would want to sell this house to someone else. So after this year, I would want you to back out. Like, you won't be able to renew your house rent. So I'm just giving you like a pre-notice. I would tell whoever is buying the property that they would have to let you stay for like this amount of time. So start getting ready. The man did not really mention much that he was the one buying the house. So he kept it to himself. They sold the house. A year later, that man came around. The same estate where that guy got the house. He was moving around. When he got to that particular place, because he used to own the property before, he discovered that it was still that same man he bought the property from. Then he called the man and said, that means after renting this house in my hand for 3 years plus, you came back again and rented it from the new owner. Is it that you love this house or you have so much sentimental value for this house that even after how many years you spent renting the place, you still came back to rent the house again? And the man said, I did not rent the house, I bought it. And the guy said, no wonder that the name on the change of documents, transfer of documents, was the same name as the man's thing, but he couldn't really pinpoint. Like, it didn't even occur to him that it was the man that was already renting it, which is the current tenant, that bought it. And so why didn't he tell me? The man said he wanted to go through that means. He said, wow, okay. The man looked at him, and that story was a motivational story there. The man had used the money he used in selling his house to go into a business. Now, when he went into a business with his wife, he did not want to rent another house because he feels if he stays in that same house where he spent 11 years as a civil servant here in Nigeria, he spent 11 years building the house. He felt, if I can still stay in this same house, and I know it took me 11 years to build this house, I spent so much money here, spent so much time here. Every single day I wake up and I look at this house, I will know that I sold this house because I needed money for other things, and I would one day want to repossess this house. That thought of waking up every day to see something you built for more than a decade, I think a decade is 10 years, for more than a decade, and now you're not owning it, instead you're renting it, made him focus so hard on business that after 3 years plus, he came back to buy it. I don't know what you're actually going through at the moment, but I want you to really understand that most times having sentiment can help you. Some people say sentiment is a bad thing when something has sentimental value to you. For instance, I have lots of cars, lots of them, about 7 at the moment. One of the most beautiful car that I hold, that I use whenever I'm driving, the one that I drive most, is this Crosster. While I was in school then, the Honda Crosster was one of the best cars that I liked. That was this guy I was dating then. That was in Owerri. And in Owerri, we have these boys who call the G boys. And obviously, you know what a G boy is. I was doing well for myself as a young guy. I can remember then it was back of IMSU campus. If you know where, there's a place called IMSU, like IMSU campus. And one day a guy came in, he put up with a Honda Crosster in my presence. I was actually talking to my babe then. We were actually strolling. And he said he liked her. When he said that first, I told her, let's go. And she said, wait now, maybe he just wants to greet us. And I waited. She greeted him. Are you doing anything? Okay. She said that she's just strolling. It's okay. Can you join me? I told her, how would you join him? She said, maybe he wants to. I said, no, you can't do that. She said, okay, fine. Later, he's asking for her number. I looked at this guy. This guy had no sympathy, no remorse. This guy had the effrontery in my presence to ask this particular girl, which is my ex then, for her phone number, even when he knows, and it was actually glaring that I am her guy. And she gave him the number. In fact, when she was even doing, I felt a bit intimidated because the guy was looking good then, and me and them on that hot sun. They exchanged numbers. She would, whenever he calls, she would excuse herself to pick up the call. And one day, I was in the compound. The whole boys were shouting, oh boy, oh boy. And everybody was like, team up. And that was when the Honda Crosster came in, inside the compound. I think it was like inside the compound, but not within my side. My ex then in school had strolled out to see the guy, spoke to the guy, and the guy brought her back. She didn't even have the courtesy to hide it from me. Like she did it up to the extent of bringing it inside the compound. And I saw all my compound people. Nobody they even a reason see my babe the inside motor. Like another man carry and come. They praised the motor. And that was when I looked at the Honda Cross and I said I must fucking buy this car at all costs. And when I said it, I didn't have any way of doing it because I was still doing websites for companies. The Honda Crosster used to be like, then it was a very big car, because the one you would obviously see every day was Evil Spirit, which is the Honda Accord, but the Honda Crosster was kind of very rare, and it was like a ZDS, right? So it's something that really attracted people there. That year I gave in every single thing. We broke up when I went through her phone and I figured out that she had slept with the guy. I approached her, she said no. She said no. There was a point where the boy was no longer calling. She would keep calling the guy, you know. And I put one or two, I approached her. She was not even, there was a point she was not even insulting me. Like she was not even regarding me anymore. Like it was not like, I beg, when they talk about other guys, like she was not like, you don't even know what you have. Like, I don't understand, because I've been here with you. And that year I was heartbroken. And I kept walking. I made a whole lot of money then, saved up some money, went into betting. Betting was not something I was doing very well, and I was making consistent money. And a year later, after putting so much of an effort, I got a car. That was a RAV4. I wasn't able to really buy the Honda Crosstour immediately. When I bought the RAV4, it gave me a whole lot of issues. Like today, if the AC is not bad, the car is jerking. The motor, if the fire speed, you go reach one extent, you're going to shake. It was what I could afford. I endured. I now figured out that people actually had a perception of what they see, and then I would see the Honda Crosstour again, and people really loved it for whatever reasons. I don't know. And one day, I was on the road with a Honda Crosstour as well, and I met this guy. I think it's on my Facebook. I'll go and share. I can look for the posts. I even said it. I wrote it on my Facebook that I must buy this car long. Alone is this Yoruba word? Cause I was dragging road with the guy. The guy said, "Oh, come on down your carton from like this thing." I can't look again. I said, "That this same Honda Crosstour." After the RAV4, I sold the RAV4, bought a 330, because the 330 was even a bit cheaper that particular, but the one I got was a bit cheaper. I got it like from somebody who had, urgent need. Still working. Then ending of the year, I was able to sell the 330 and bought the latest Honda Crosstour. Ever since then till now, it's been my favorite ride. If I'm going out, I could be at the back seat of my Range Rover. I could be at the back of my Land Cruiser, but I don't let anybody drive this car. Nobody touches it, because each time I stay here, it shows me and it reminds me of one thing: that if I put my mind to anything, I can achieve it. That is the dannyokec gist for today. I think today is the 20th of March 2023. Build sentimental value around your success. Once you make your success that drive, once you add sentiments to it, it will be very difficult for you to back down. Because every single day, you remember that sentimental insult, you remember that challenge, you remember that person who told you couldn't, you remember that thing that was taken from you because you were not able to afford this or have this. Build your wealth, build your mental wealth through sentiment. Let it be something that would consistently push you. Once you have something pushing you, it is 1,001% guaranteed. Except maybe you die on the way, but as long as you're alive, you will make it. So if anybody is insulting you, video them, keep, write and keep. Say for the fact, and some people tell you don't give a hell, just work. No, build sentiment around your success and you'll get it. Thank you all. This is dannyokec gist for today, 20th of March 2023.